All right, welcome to round two of our draft here. Just get everyone all imported and ready to go here. So we got everyone in. Yep, sweet. So we'll advance into the draft here and finish up first round. So let's see what the Dolphins end up with. So Ripley, Cornelius Ripley, tackle out of TCU. Intangibles could probably use a little bit of help, but outside of that, he looks pretty good. Just needs to work on some endurance a little bit, and maybe get his blocking skills up. But pretty solid pick at 31 for the Dolphins. Now we're gonna do my team, which I actually have no clue. I actually don't do any lists or anything, just because I tend to be able to see some of the ratings and stuff as I'm adapting the file. So let's see who they decide to take. Petway. Well, so I got another Utah guy. I didn't expect that. And he looks pretty good. So on to the Bills. Joey Chamberlain, decent speed, agility, good intangibles, good endurance, plays the position well. Another decent guy out of TCU. 226 tackles over his career, 8 sacks from the corner position, and 6 INTs. So yeah, that should be a solid corner. Just it needs to develop a little bit. Maybe that speed and agility could afford some development. Reardon for Atlanta. Another decent corner, similar to the one the Bills got. A touch slower, but a little bit more agile, but very similar. Less endurance. And that brings us to the Chiefs. So Brian Lusk, defensive end out of Wisconsin. Decent speed for D end. What's his size? 253. Little small. Intangibles not good. Honestly, I'd be disappointed with this pick if it was me, just based on these intangibles and the endurance. He's a big project for sure. On to the Jets. Jets is Shelton, guard out of Virginia Tech. Decent strength, pretty straightforward. He'll just need to work a little bit on strength. He's pretty slow for the guard position. But if he can jack that strength up and the pass and run blocking up a little bit, he could be pretty solid for sure. He comes in, already has the guard position pretty mastered, and he's got good endurance, so he can stay on the field. So he just needs to work on some of his, maybe if he can get a little bit quicker, a little bit stronger, he could be a solid guard in this league. Brings us back to the Broncos human team here. Let's see, we've got Richard Church, linebacker out of Cincinnati. Great endurance, decent speed. Could work on his agility a little bit, maybe some strength. Get his position skill, but his position skill's already up. Great intangibles. So another one that should develop well under some good tutelage. Back to the Ravens. Eric Cotton, tackle out of Missouri. Decent player, just really needs to build that endurance and strength. and some of that blocking skill. Decent speed for the tackle position. Plays the position well. But yeah, he's got a little bit of work to do in the gym as well. So back to the Texans. So we're going to go with Michael Bingham, running back out of Michigan. 3,000 yards rushing in college. Over his career, he caught a lot of passes, 74 receptions for 821 yards, but his hands aren't very good. They didn't translate super well, so he must have just caught a lot of out routes or something, or a lot of flat routes or something. But he could be good as well. He's got good speed, great strength. He's a nice big guy, 6 foot, 200 pounds. He could use a little work on the agility, but he's got the endurance to play, and he'll definitely increase in his position skill. His intangibles are really good as well. Great leadership, great team player. So, I mean, that's a guy I love having in the locker room and love getting playing time on the field because he's just going to lift up the rest of the guys. On to Seattle. So, Seattle, we're getting Anthony Mina out of Ole Miss. Not a great pass blocker. Pretty strong, decent speed and agility. But he's going to be another good locker room guy as well. But, he's just got a little work to do. Definitely a project. Back to the Packers, human team. Let's see who MM Jens is taken. Got some Bobo. Roger Bobo out of Oregon. Good run blocker. Bad in the pass blocking. So he'll definitely be a platoon guy. Not sure if he'll ever really build up his pass blocking too high, but he might have great potential there. But he does have the strength. So he'll be a decent platoon, and he's a big guy, 6'6", 323, big mean player. He'll play on the team. He's not a great sport, but his disposition is good. Decent intangibles, nothing really too concerning there. But he does need to work hard on that pass blocking skill if he's going to be an every down player. Jags take Patrick Levine, defensive end. Man, we're getting lots of linemen in this second round. Lots of linemen, both on offense and defense. I think outside of the linemen and defensive end, I think we've had a linebacker taken, but it's pretty much been linemen and D-ends. So I'm actually surprised there aren't as many skill position players going in the second round, but line's very important. Defensive end's very important. This guy would be kind of disappointing. I don't really see him. His speed's low. He could maybe build that up. His agility's a little low. Strength's even low. Endurance is low. So overall, I'd be disappointed with this pick if it was me. Cardinals. Steele, wide receiver, out of Baylor. 137 catches, 350 yards, 20 TDs over his career at Baylor, and Baylor's typically been a good team. Really good agility, decent enough speed. He could work on his hands and endurance. But, this guy, he's very similar to a receiver I have on my roster. And I really think that he could develop well, especially if he can push that speed up a few ticks and get that hands up a few ticks. He's got the agility already there. He'd be a great short passing game receiver already. You don't need quite as good at hands the closer you are to the line of scrimmage on catches, but decent player. Brings us to the 49ers. 49ers, we got Haney. Haney is cornerback out of Hawaii. Little bit slow. Little bit. Uh-oh. Did my stream drop out? I hope not. No, it doesn't look like it. Nothing's dropped. George Haney out of Hawaii. Good intangibles, but his agility is always going to be a struggle, and bad endurance. His speed's good enough to play kind of in some zone or slot schemes, but not a great player. Bengals up next. We got William Kelly. Ooh, well that's a pretty good pick. William Kelly, great hands out of Penn State. Decent speed, decent agility. He's an immediate third down back. 55 catches for 738 yards, 8 TDs. He ran for almost 3,500 over his career. Speedy, great hands. I mean, that's a guy I'd love to have on my team for sure. I always like those handsy backs. I like to utilize them. Brings us to the Saints. Donald Smith, defensive tackle. Probably not great. In fact, 272. He's undersized. I wonder how he would translate moving to defensive end. He's definitely undersized to play defensive end in the pro league, but maybe he could shift over to D end. But I think that was kind of a reach pick for the Saints. Steelers. John Kelly out of Michigan. Good speed and agility, not extremely strong, but he could play. I'd probably be playing this guy. He's a guy that could play right away. Just needs to get his position skill up, which will probably build a little bit in training camp. But decent player that, position skills relatively easy to build up. You can get the skills there. It's really hard to build up physical skills. That 29, he may be able to, he might have some higher potential there. Tackling not great. So if he can get a little bit stronger, develop his tackling. But overall, he'd be a decent cover corner right now. So it brings us to Titans. Carmen, Joseph Carmen, running back out of, wow, this guy might be the fastest guy in the draft. Running back out of Vanderbilt. So I ran Vanderbilt last year. He had a decent career. I can't really remember, honestly, how well I utilized him, but he's definitely fast. Definitely fast, not as strong as you'd necessarily want, but he's a big guy. 211 pounds, so he's one of the bigger backs, just not quite as strong, but he is fast, so fast and big. Buccaneers. Running back out of Missouri, and he's good. Speedy, knows how to play the position, great endurance. Not super strong, but man, that guy's going to be a great edge rusher. He's not going to juke you, but get him on the edges and he'll blow right by you. Decent guy, 2372, rushing out of Missouri. Decent player. Eagles, we got Benner. Linebacker out of Appalachian State. Decent speed and tackling. Decent size. He just needs to work on his strength, really. That's the main thing. He gets a little stronger. He'll definitely be good. Well, strong and agility. His agility's way low. Vikings up next. So another human team. Let's see what Vikes rules gonna take here. Art Brown, cornerback out of Navy. So I guess he's not gonna serve his 2-year stint. Great speed for a corner. He's decent strength for a corner too. He's probably among the stronger corners out there. 6'1", 199, a little bit bigger than most corners as well. Just really needs to work on his agility maybe, but speedy guy. He'll be useful, especially once he gets that position skill up. You know, I bet he rates up over an 80 if he gets his position skill up to 100. Cowboys. Maynard Daniel. Hey, decent guy. 83 speed, 78 hands, 78 agility, 91 endurance. He looks decent for sure. Definitely looks like he'll be solid. Dallas has needed some wide receivers. They got to try and replace Eddie Royal. It's gonna be tough to do. You know, he didn't catch a lot of passes over his career out of Georgia Tech. I don't know if they were more of a running type scheme, but looks like he'll be a decent player in pro. Panthers up next. Gordon Cottrell. Ooh, speedy. He's got to be the fastest linebacker. Great intangibles. Just really agility maybe and that position skill. And he's solid. I mean, 83 speed out of the linebacker spot's great. Giants up next. Giants taking Gabriel Palmer. Decent enough strength, decent enough speed. He just really needs to work on learning how to play the position and build his endurance. At South Carolina, so KW will like hearing that. Giants, another pick here. Galindo, defensive tackle. Decent. Just needs to build his endurance. You know, you don't need to be fast. He's a big guy, 6'1", 332, so he's just a big, fat, gonna stick the middle and protect it. And I think he'll be sufficient at that, even at that 50 speed. But he has a little bit of agility, especially for the defensive tackle position, to move around blocks. He can afford to build up some strength a little bit as well. But man, he's going to be hard to move out of the way. That's for sure. He's just going to be a hole stuffer. So probably wouldn't see him get a lot of stats. And that's true of defensive tackles a lot. And I think people end up undervaluing defensive tackle for that reason. Because they just plug holes. They just plug holes and take up blockers. And so they won't always get lots of stats like sacks and tackles, but they're freeing up a lot of space for other players. So I actually think this is pretty good defensive tackle. Should develop decently, especially if you can build that endurance. So up to the Patriots. Gamboa, defensive end. A little slow for the defensive end position. Decent strength, but really bad agility. Honestly, I'd probably be a little disappointed. I wouldn't expect this guy to develop his agility and speed too much. But, you know, we'll see how it goes. Sometimes guys have really great potential. They'll come in low, and you can train them up. Colts. Thomas Hurst out of Florida. Whew, another good corner. Yeah, that one, I mean, he's showing as a 64 overall, but he's got the speed and agility. His tackling's really bad. If he can develop that, along with his position skill. I mean, this guy, if he can learn how to become a better tackler, this guy has everything else to be a great corner in this league. On to the Lions. Darren Badger out of USC. Hey, that's not a bad pickup for QB. His intelligence is low. That might develop over a few seasons. He's only 21 years old, so maybe you could get that intelligence up over 80. By the time he's 25 or so, get a few camps on him. His strength's not amazing, but his speed and agility, just definitely a pocket passer. Great intangibles, team player, everything else, work ethic, competitiveness. Should be a good guy. He wasn't extremely accurate at USC, 131 out of 301 attempts. So, might be tough, but he's got the physical tools to do it. He's just got to get a little bit smarter about the game. Rams up next. Andrew Yang, cornerback. Another one of these guys that looks pretty good. 87 speed, 86 agility out of Illinois. And Illinois kind of surprised everyone last year. They went pretty deep. I think they were a playoff team and won the Big Ten. So he's got the experience. He was a key to that team. 208 tackles, 4 sacks, 9 interceptions over his career. But honestly, he looks solid. Not the best intangibles, but corner's not going to be a position where you really need to have the best intangibles. On to the Browns. Beasley, linebacker out of Florida. Decent enough guy for sure. Just needs to maybe build up some strength, but he looks like he'll be all right. Get some strength and agility up. He's got the speed to play the position. Nice size, 6'2", 246. Chargers up next. George Thornton, tight end. Decent blocker. He'll learn the position. I mean, he's coming in as kind of a low overall to start, but 6'4", 239. If he can work on his strength, he'll be a decent blocking tight end, that's for sure. On to the Bears. Nicholas Sheehan. Hey, good intelligence, good accuracy. His arm is a little bit under where I'd want, but he's got everything else. If he can learn to play that position a little bit better, he'd be a decent short passing quarterback for sure. And he's got the leadership and team player that you really want to see out of a quarterback. On to the Dolphins. Van Ellis out of Iowa. So Iowa used to be a running powerhouse. We used to have an AD over there. Man, his strength is bad though. If he can build that up, he'll be decent. He's fast with great hands for a running back, but his strength and endurance is quite low. So he's gonna be hitting the gym pretty hard, I'd guess, over there in Miami. Let's see who my team takes. Casey Jones. Well, I like the name. Appalachian State. I like the name, but don't like the player. I mean, I wouldn't have put this guy on my list at all. We're deep at defensive tackle already. I think we have 4 defensive tackles that are pretty young. He's 20 years old, so maybe he'd develop, but he's definitely going to be sitting on the practice squad. So anyway, that concludes round 2. We will be doing round 3 hopefully tomorrow, but hopefully you enjoyed the second round, and we'll see y'all in chat and check in tomorrow for the rest of the draft.